Hello, my name's Jane. This is my story how my parents raised me. I still can't forgive them for what they forced me to do. And I don't understand why they treated me like that. Can you help me? Or at least give me some support? I have never been a good girl, like a tender flower from a greenhouse. Like my grandparents, my parents owned a farm, with different animals, huge fields, and everything else. So I learned to manage the farm issues. Even before I started talking. No, I was never forced to do such things. But I couldn't help learning it when the whole family was harvesting, or farming animals were around. Since I turned 15, they took me as an adult person. So I worked along with everyone. I had my duties, to feed chickens, rabbits, cows, and Daddy's horse, and also to clean in the stalls, collect eggs, and even vaccinate the animals. I didn't treat pigs. It was really hard and dangerous. Pigs are not as peaceful as they seem. If any of you have ever lived on a farm, you'll get my point. But a young girl like me, who had no special physical development, had nothing to do with them. They could just gobble me up. Our garden was our shared responsibility. In the middle of the summer, everyone went out to harvest. We even hired some workers. Well, I didn't take part in trading at all. It was my mom's duty. To agree with contractors, sign agreements and all that jazz. Those who have ever been to a farm know what hard work it is. And it's also very natural, because animals have no idea of shame or morality. These are totally human issues. So I learned how everyone reproduces, and how boys differ from girls at a very early age. Other things were not a secret from me either. I knew very well where the meat in the soup and in the chops came from, and I didn't even become a vegetarian. This is a natural process. Birth, reproduction, death, so what? Though my friends asked me how I could do that. The rabbits were so cute anyway, and I fed the chickens with my own hands. I don't know how, but I still could. Vegetarians don't beat me. Apart from the animals we ate and sold, we had 2 huge Alabay dogs, which guarded our places and helped my dad to graze the cows. And we had a cat, a usual one. Tricolor and not purebred. Though my parents didn't think her a pet, it mostly hung out in the house. Mom and Dad didn't love her, but they understood that in the countryside, next to the grain and feed reserves, a cat was a necessity. She was catching mice. Her name was Minnie. I loved her because everything else was just resources for me. As for the dogs, you wouldn't even cuddle with them if you wanted to stay alive, and the cat was always warm and soft. And she purred. It was comfortable for me to sleep with her, and she lay on my lap, so that I even considered her my best friend. My parents didn't mind, but like all the animals, the cat really wanted, well, to reproduce. And since she really loved to hang out outside, she always had kittens. There were enough other cats nearby. We had 2 or 3 kittens every 6 months, but then they suddenly disappeared. Honestly, I thought my parents just let them out somewhere. But the truth turned out to be much more bitter, because one day my mom came up to me and pointed to the bucket in the corner. Then she pointed to the well and said something like, "Do it, dear." I freaked out, because chickens or rabbits are one thing, and kittens are another. They were so little, cute, and plump. How come? Dad himself killed chickens and rabbits according to the rules, and he didn't call me to visit such events. On the contrary, when a pig was stabbed, they sent me away not to shock me. So why? I put my first victims in an empty bucket and took them to the dump. We have a large one. I'd say even it was the city's one. But the thing was, there lived a very kind and good old guard, and there was a lot of food. Of course, I wasn't going to kill anyone. I'm not a psycho. And so the kittens were given to someone. And it seemed like my mom's order was fulfilled. In the following years, I stamped a path to this dump. By the way, the guard left only 3 kittens for himself. They grew up to be amazing rat catchers, and they chased away everyone, sometimes even dogs. And for the rest, he handed them out to visitors. And the most funny thing was that they always took the kittens, because at the time, they already had a bush radio around. People really needed cats for their farms. There were mice everywhere, and here was such a present. You would say it all ended well? Not at all. Every time, my mom asked me how I did, and for the next few times, she literally forced me to drown the kittens. Good that she didn't stand next to me, and that was awful. I really didn't understand why it was so important for the kittens to get drowned, but I pretended to do everything as I was told. Anyway, Minnie and me moved out as soon as possible, because it got simply hard for us to bear this. I had the cat sterilized with the first money I earned, and she doesn't suffer now. I don't suffer either, thinking about where to put all her kittens. The guard was upset though. He had even started to sell them. Now he lost his extra income, and he already had a good waiting list of customers. But I think my way out was much easier. By the way, I still can't get why my mom hadn't done the sterilization, especially since the vet visited us every month. Now, the cat is getting used to living in the apartment. Me too, because you don't have to get up at 5 a.m. in the city. I go to college. I rarely go to my parents. I just can't forgive my mom for such cold-blooded cruelty. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong? Write in the comments what you think of this. I'll be pleased to read your comments. Would you do as my mom told me? And who was right in this story? I ask vegetarians not to blame me. And the rest, love animals, take care of them, and never go down to a meaningless cruelty.